Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this is Desi Lydic. She is a correspondent for the recently returned Daily Show, where she is also guest hosted and will be guest hosting again. You know her from her Emmy-nominated Foxplains, and she's also got a new movie coming out pretty soon, or
we think so.
Emma Roberts and Gabrielle Union, called
great.
Space Cadet. Hi, how are you?
Great to see you.
It's great to see you, and just like welcome back to the Daily Show in general. This was the longest hiatus, 5 months, right?
5 months, yeah, five months.
What did you do with those 5 months?
It's so weird to even, I want to call it a hiatus, but we were also, fighting for our rights as writers and performers for that whole period of time. It was strange to have that much time off from the show. I've been with the show now for 8 years, so I've never had that kind of time away. And I have to say, there were moments when I kind of enjoyed not being on top of the news all the time. Mentally, I think it was nice to have a bit of a break.
Right. If you didn't need to know, you didn't need to work about it.
Right.
Now,
right.
But let me ask you the other side of that, because it's, as ever, I guess there's no such thing as a slow news day anymore.
Right.
But this was an eventful period in American history that you were not on the air for. Were there moments during those months where you thought, oh man, I would really love to get my hands on talking about this story?
You know, it's so funny. There were, of course, the indictments, all of the indictment news. You think like, oh, now would be a great time to be on air and be able to unpack this and talk about the ridiculousness of all of this. But for me, the story that I most desperately wanted to be on air for was when a flight passenger had a horrible number 2 incident all over the airplane. I believe they described it as being all throughout the airplane. And I just went like, oh, come on. Of all days, this would be such a great day what an easy story. We know our audience, okay?
So that, not like indictments.
Not indictments.
Not Supreme Court.
Not women's reproductive rights. No, it was the day that the gentleman had an epic accident on a Delta flight that I thought the people need to know this.
Right.
Yeah.
And how does one even have an accident all over?
This is why I wanted to be able to really do a deep dive in that, because I have so many unanswered questions. Like, I don't know, like, did he try to make a move and like couldn't make it all the way there, or was it on the way back from the bathroom? I don't know. I'm glad I wasn't on that flight.
It's not like you're in zero gravity.
No.
Where we just go flying everywhere.
No.
All right. I'm sure now
But that is what Space Cadet is about, strangely, so I'm glad you brought that up. That is the premise of Space Cadet.
Well, that was the elevator pitch.
I said, say no more. Emma Roberts, zero gravity, number 2 incident. I am in.
I mean, sign on the. Thank you to your agent for that.
Right.
But you have been sitting in the anchor desk for some really interesting moments.
Yeah.
You were there. I mean, like it must have been like Christmas morning every day that you were in that chair for Tucker Carlson. That day.
Yeah, that was a gift from the political gods, or the Fox News gods, however you want to look at it. Yeah, especially after being able to do the Foxplains segment for so long, so regularly, of like, that's a very specific way of dissecting the rhetoric and the narratives that come out of Fox News to embody that sort of energy, but then to be able to sit on the other side of it more like myself and call it out. It just, you have good news days and bad news days, and that was a damn good news day.
And now you're going to be in that chair again.
Yeah.
I want to know what's different. Does it feel different post-strike? Is there a different mentality or sensibility to the show? And now it's been such a long time since Trevor Noah sat in that chair. The show is creating a new identity for itself. How does it feel?
Well, I have to say, after Trevor left and there was an opportunity for some of us to get to sit in and try it on for size, I, of course, raised my hand and went, put me in, coach. Those opportunities don't always come along, sometimes never, and certainly rarely. So I, of course, wanted to jump in and just give it a try and see what it was like, if they would ever let me. But it's a scary thing to say because I never done it before. I didn't know, could I could I do that? How would that go? Would I enjoy it? I knew that walking into that, I would have all the support in the world from the team. We have the most incredible team of writers and producers and colleagues that I've worked with for 8 years, and it's a machine, and they are very, very good at what they do. So, they set us all up for success. But I didn't really know exactly how it would feel to sit there and do it. And it was just so much fun. I loved every step of the process. I loved the morning meeting happening and sitting in a room with some of the funniest people in this business and the smartest people in this industry and cracking jokes, and then, the rehearsal process and the rewrite, and it all moves so quickly. They're a well-oiled machine there. But every step of the process was just so much fun. And so this time getting to do it again is just icing on the cake.
Well, now I'm wondering if doing it again, we know there aren't going to be any announcements until the new year, but when you sit down in that chair, is it going to be hard to get up and leave it to somebody else?
I will stay there until they name a host, and then they're going to have to drag me out of there. They will have to just dig in and drag me out.
That's what I was wondering. If it's going to be like a squatter's rights kind of a thing.
Totally.
If you sit in, or like a hands on a hard body situation, like whoever sits in the chair the longest gets to be the host.
That's one way. I think that's a great tactic. I would very seriously consider that. I've already moved in a futon under the desk, so I'm just sleeping there secretly every day.
You just need a carafe for the peeing. And then you're good to go.
And then I'm good.
And then you're all set. Well, then I think you've got the job.
I think it's set.
Yeah. Desi, let me ask you, now that we are entering this new phase of the show, this new era, and it's an election year, and all of these other not so funny things happening in the world right now, we're more polarized than ever. Like, it's escalating at an exponential rate. You're going to be back out there reporting on these issues. You've talked about some of the confrontations you've experienced and you and your colleagues have. What are you thinking as you go back out there as a performer, but also as a woman, as a vulnerable person walking around in a human body? What's it like out there?
Yeah.
Did I just scare you? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you know what? Wrap it up. Let's call it a day. Tell them I'm out. No. Yeah, it is a scary time. There's a lot happening all over the world. There's a lot happening in this country. Everything feels so polarized and contentious. And we're also in a world where we're not necessarily dealing with facts. We're dealing with feelings. And yeah, it is frightening to be thrown into all of that and to be covering it. But I also think that there's an opportunity to, anytime that we can digest some of these things with humor and with empathy, I think that's an important part of the recipe of being able to work through all of this. And I think that's something that our show does really, really well. I mean, we aren't just a straight up news show, we're a comedy show. Our first intent is to entertain and make people laugh, and I personally find that really cathartic. The Daily Show has been my therapy for the last 8 years, and I also have therapy separately and very much believe in it. But yeah, it feels quite cathartic to be able to work through some of these awful issues that we're facing together and find some sort of humor in all of it. And also really try to tell the truth. I mean, we are a comedy show, but we try to tell the truth. We try to get it right. We make sure that things are factual. We have incredible professionals whose entire job it is to make sure that we are fact-checking what we're reporting. I remember first starting at the show, one of the first field pieces I did, when you're a correspondent, you get invited into the edit and you can sit in and watch the pieces get put together. And there was one edit that we made for comedy's sake where we let someone's response happen just like a half a second later. We built a slight comedic beat in it, in the first cut of it. And I remember the department head came in and he was watching a cut of it and he goes, no, that's not the way that happened, take that out. That's not what we do. So I thought, okay, we're a comedy show, but we do try to, play by the rules and be truthful.
It's nice somebody is, right?
Yes,
It's really important. I want to ask you about some of the other things you've done, because you did this thing called Abroad, which I loved. I just got back from Iceland, which was incredible, but you explored what it is like to be a woman and what gender equity looks like in other places in the world, including Iceland, which once again is #1 for gender equity in the world, I think 14th, 15th year in a row.
Yeah.
What did you learn that other countries do right that we just don't seem to be able to do in this country? And I want to know, do you think we want to in this country?
Oh, that's a great question. Do we want it in this country? How much time do we have? How long is this segment?
Just throwing you softballs all day long.
Yeah, that is a great question. Do we want it? I think a large part of this country doesn't want it, and that is part of the problem. There are a lot of things that we're not quite getting right, but for there to be the support that women need to, have, first of all, their reproductive rights, to have a meaningful amount of parental leave. The one thing that we explored in Iceland was that, they don't call it maternity leave. It is parental leave, because in a heterosexual relationship, both the man and the women are taking time off to care for the kids. And I think, you can advocate for women in leadership positions in government and the C-suite and all of that. But if men are not also taking part in the caretaking duties, and if women are taking all of that on and shouldering that burden, you're never going to find equity in the workplace. So that was one thing that Iceland is incredibly supportive in. And yeah, I think we need a lot more women in leadership positions in the government, so that these issues, these policies can be taken on, and that we can be supported. Nothing's going to change until we have more representation.
And we want it. I agree. I want to ask you just one last thing, which is you have been doing this for so long with The Daily Show. You're so great at being a correspondent, and you clearly have this investment in telling the truth as a semi-journalist or whatever that is. But you're also still an actor, right? You're also still acting. To my family, you are a groundbreaker, because you were in that episode, the penultimate episode of Good Luck Charlie. You were part of the first LGBTQ couple on the Disney Channel. Yeah. Did you know at the time that it was going to be as big a deal as it was?
I did. Thank you for watching that. That was such a special job for me, and it came up kind of at the last minute, and I saw what it was, and I knew at the time that was the first time that kind of representation was on Disney. And of course I wanted to be part of that, and I did not know that it would take off as much as it did, but knowing that was so meaningful for so many people is incredible. It was such a gift to be part of that episode.
And you're still acting?
I'm still acting, yeah.
How are you doing it all? So tell me just a little bit about what Space Cadet really is, because I assume it's not just about poop in space.
It is not about poop in space that we know of, unless there's a sequel. We'll keep all options open. Emma Roberts plays a character. I would say the elevator pitch is it's kind of like Private Benjamin, but at NASA. So Emma Roberts plays this character who always dreamed about becoming an astronaut and has made different life choices. She's kind of lost her way in Florida. She's a Florida party girl, and decides, enough is enough. I want to pursue my dream. So she applies to get into the ASCAN program at NASA by lying on her application, and she gets in and then has to keep up the charade. And my character is her nemesis once she gets into the training program. So I got to be naughty, real bad.
What's more fun than being a nemesis? Desi, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to see The Daily Show's back, and I'm so happy to see you on there. Desi Lydic, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so much fun. Appreciate it.